Move-in night, storm rising. An envelope in the rain could save this house or shatter their trust. What's in the envelope, and would you open it? Hello everyone, hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we enter a night of rising floodwater as James and Diep race to finish a bed before it climbs, and an old friend arrives with a wrinkled envelope that could rebuild their trust or break it for good. What's inside, and how far will forgiveness go when the past knocks at the door? If this story pulls you in, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next chapters. Rain hits the empty room like a drum line that refuses to quit. The air smells of wet earth and iron. A single bulb hums.
In that thin circle of light, James and Diep kneel over the bed frame, hands dark with mud, sleeves clinging to their arms. The hammer's head finds the nail, ringing once, then again, each strike folding into the rain's growl as if the storm is keeping time with them. A gust pushes the door and the yard blurs into a silver sheet. Water slides over the step and gathers in a shallow mirror on the floor. Wardrobe soaked, James says, breath low, eyes on a tarp that is more hope than shield. Diep glances at the doorway. The water looks like a small stream trying to come inside. With this flood, she says, quiet but sharp, we might not get home. The words land hard. The room seems to flinch. She tightens her grip on the rag she's using to chase water away, as if she can chase away the idea too. James wipes sweat with the back of his wrist. Let's get the bed done first, he says. Then we'll figure it out. They go back to the rhythm. Nail, breath, nail, breath. Outside, rain answers. In the lamp's dim glow, James's face holds steady, but a flicker of exhaustion passes through his eyes like a cloud across the moon. Diep notices. Her mouth wants to speak comfort, but the moment feels too fragile to touch. She stays with the floor, wringing the cloth, ordering small puddles back out the door. The new house is beautiful in an unfinished way. Smooth plaster, still pale. Windows leaning against a wall like tall, tired men. Sheet bundles stacked, waiting for a tomorrow the rain refuses to promise. Beauty without shelter is a tricky thing. Tonight it feels like a stage, still missing its backdrop, a promise that asks for faith. They have faced worse. Judgment in an aunt's tight smile. Distance measured in bus tickets and missed calls. Doubt that hangs on the edge of kind words. Now the storm adds its own test, a louder one that everyone can hear. The rain wants them to listen. A truck coughs outside, wheels slide. A beam of light breaks the yard and arcs across the room. James stands, shoulders tense and hopeful at the same time. He steps into the rain, feet finding the slick patches he just mopped, and disappears into the hiss. The yard fills with the clatter of wood. Doors and windows arrive, slick with water, heavy with promise. A shadow moves around the truck's tailgate and resolves into a figure who hesitates before waving. Need a hand, John says. Familiar voice, familiar weight on the name. For half a breath, the rain seems to pull back. John is not a stranger. He is a story they know too well. He once put a crack through their peace, and peace does not forget. Yet here he is, with wet hair and lumber in his arms. James nods. A small smile crosses, brief and honest. Thanks, let's carry these. They work under the rain like three metronomes set to one tempo. Boards knock, hinges click. The truck shifts its weight and sighs. Diep stands at the porch, fingers tucked into her sleeves, watching the two men move in and out of the light. She cannot read the expression on John's face. If guilt has a color, it looks like the gray at the edge of dawn. He grips the wood too tight, like he is holding more than a board. The house takes shape one wet door at a time. It does not feel like forgiveness yet. It feels like an examination room where the heart is the patient and the past is the list of questions. The rain softens from raw to steady talk. In the kitchen, fire snaps to life. A pot begins to whisper. The smell of boiled chicken moves through the damp and pushes the night back a little. James and Diep sit across from each other with new bowls and chopsticks. The light in here is warmer, like a candle placed inside a palm. Country chicken is different, Diep says, smiling in spite of herself. So fragrant. Thank God for this meal, James answers, and the two of them bow their heads. The prayer is short. It does not try to impress anyone. It simply lights a small lamp in the space between them. The first spoonful is heat and salt and comfort. Breath comes easier. What the rain takes, the table gives back. This house, she says, and her voice finds a thin place in itself. I never dared dream of it. James looks at her for a long moment. His eyes are bright with something steady. You deserve it, Diep, he says, but you must change. Start a business. Make life better. The words do not scold. They plant. She feels them land in the soil of her chest and open a crack of green. Ambition is not a loud thing inside her. It speaks like rain after midnight, but she hears it now. She thinks of Nai. She thinks of Huyen's mother. She thinks of all the doorways she wants to walk through without apologizing. I'll try, she says, to be worthy of you. He shakes his head, slow and kind. Be worthy of the life, he says. We'll build it. In the other room, the bed holds together. Wood on wood, metal holding the joints like a firm handshake. Every creak they tightened, every angle they corrected under the storm's noise becomes a quiet vow. The storm does not bless anything, but it reveals what is built well. Rain continues its talk against the eaves. Outside, John shifts in the doorway, not yet ready to step into the room, not able to walk away. He watches the two at the table, then looks down at his mud-dark hands. The smell of chicken reaches him, and a flicker crosses his face that could be memory or hunger or both. Diep notices the shadow. The old bruise in her chest hums once, then settles. She stands, pours a bowl of broth, and sets it on the edge of the porch without ceremony. Eat before you catch cold, she says, through the half-open door. The words are simple. They do not erase anything. They make a space anyway. John nods without meeting her eyes. Thank you, he manages. He crouches and takes a sip. Steam fogs his glasses. The rain draws a tight circle around the moment. Back at the table, James speaks of timelines, doors hung by next week, windows sealed if the weather lifts, a floor polish that will make the rooms brighter, a workbench along the back wall where he can fix what breaks instead of throwing it away. He talks like a man drawing a map out loud. From the porch comes the slow, awkward rhythm of gratitude and silence. It is not reconciliation, not yet. It is the sound of something thinking about turning toward the light. They finish the meal and sit with their hands around the bowls to hold the warmth a little longer. The house listens, the lamp buzzes and steadies, the storm runs down the gutter like a river that cannot remember where it begins. Tomorrow we hang the door to the bedroom, James says. After that, the kitchen window. She nods. The list is a kind of comfort. It tells the body where to stand next. Outside, the yard glitters with thin puddles. Inside on the table, 2 sets of chopsticks rest parallel, pointing toward the same wall. The night is still the night, but there is a line through it now where morning might enter. Part of Diep wants to lift her voice and say it out loud, that they will not be shaken loose. Another part knows the power in letting the room keep the sentence for them. She cleans the bowls. He checks the bed's last bolt. The house holds the echo of hammers and prayer. Rain keeps falling. The bulb keeps humming. Hope, as usual, works quietly. The rain thins to threads, then gathers again like a throat clearing. The night won't decide. On the porch, John stands with his bowl empty and his apology unspoken. James leans on the door frame. Diep dries the table, listening with her shoulders as much as her ears.
"Keep those chickens," James says, voice even. "Make a start." John's jaw tightens. "I can't look you in the eye," he says, "after what I did." Diep steps closer. "We've forgiven you," she says. "Let's be friends." For a heartbeat, nothing moves. The storm exhales along the roof. John nods once. It costs him. They stack the last boards and lift the frame together. It doesn't complain. James sets the final screw and leans his weight. The bed answers with a quiet, confident creak. "Good," he says. The lamp flickers. The truck engine turns over, then stills. Night decides at last. John clears his throat. "I brought more than doors," he says. He pulls a wrinkled envelope from his jacket. "I kept this when I shouldn't have. Told myself it was small. It wasn't." Climax arrives without ceremony.
It stands in the doorway. James doesn't take the envelope right away. "What is it?" "Pictures," John says, "of the worksite. The day the inspector came, Mr. Twan pressed me. I hid them. I was wrong." Silence lands heavy. The lamp steadies. James reaches. Paper crackles. Wet boots by poured concrete. A date in blue. A mistake someone wanted hidden. The rumor's legs. The reason trust went thin. "Why now?" he asks. "Because rain like this finds every crack," John says. "I'm tired of living inside one." Something breaks. Inside, not outside. James's shoulders drop. "Okay," he says. "Not forgiveness yet. Ground." Diep lays the photos flat and pats them dry as if they were hands pulled from cold. "We'll take these in the morning," she says. "We'll do it properly." John nods, eyes wet in a way the rain cannot explain. "Thank you," he whispers. The storm falters. The pot clicks as it cools. The air smells of chicken, wet earth, and something new without a name. They make the bed with fresh sheets. The blanket settles like a calm breath. "Try to sleep," James says. "We start early." Sleep keeps its distance. The roof ticks, yard drips, old dents hum. James studies the ceiling. "Change," he says, picking up the thread from dinner. "You meant it?" "I did," she answers. "Work with what we have. Broth and rice at the gate for crews. Raise the chickens clean and keep the first clutch for seed. Learn the phone. Show the house as it grows so people see the work, not the gossip." He is quiet. Then he laughs once, soft. "You've already begun." "I have," she says. Somewhere between one sound and the next, sleep finds them. They wake to light clean around the edges. Rain has dropped to a mist like breath across the yard. Mud holds last night's footprints like a page holds ink. They boil water. James hangs the bedroom door. It closes with a sound that feels like a sentence ending where it should. Diep wipes the kitchen glass until the outside comes close and crisp. John returns, hat in his hands. He waits at the threshold until James waves him in. The envelope lies on the table like a truth that stayed. "We'll take these to the inspector," James says. "No noise, just facts." "I'll go," John says. They walk the lane side by side. Puddles flash the sky. The town smells like rain and laundry soap. In the office, the inspector reads in silence. He files what must be filed. Procedure speaks. Outside, James lets out a breath he didn't know he was holding. John stands straighter, as if gravity has eased. Back home, the house feels a half shade brighter. They eat rice with salt and a wedge of lime. It tastes like beginning. Resolution doesn't sing. It folds towels. It oils hinges. It is the slow patience of things becoming themselves. By afternoon, the clouds break on their western edge. Sun lays a hand on the wet boards. The yard shines. Chickens peck the soft ground and leave tidy punctuation marks. James sets a small ledger on the table. "Write your plan," he says. "Not in stone, in pencil." Diep opens to the first page. Her handwriting is careful, then loosens. Broth at the gate. Feed schedule. Seed money. Phone posts on Tuesdays and Fridays. A line for Nai, when to call and what to tell her, so she hears hope without weight. The doorframe holds their shadows side by side. Wood dust mixes with boiled grain. On the road, a motorbike carries someone else's worry away. Near evening, John lifts the crate of chickens James pressed on him. He hesitates in the doorway, but the look in his eyes has changed. Not apology, agreement. "Everyone makes mistakes," James says. "What matters is change." John nods. "I'll work," he says. "I'll come back with proof." He goes. The lane swallows his steps. The quiet that follows isn't empty. It's the sound a house makes when it begins to remember who lives inside it. Gentle descent is a list under a magnet. A window that opens without sticking. A bed that doesn't wobble when you turn. Night returns. Calm now. The kitchen lamp is a welcome. They eat late. They talk small because small is where breath lives. Before sleep, they stand on the porch. The last drops fall from the eaves like clocks finishing their work. Across the field, a puddle holds the sky, and a star trembles in it like a coin at the bottom of a well. Closing image, 2 pairs of slippers side by side on the threshold, drying. A house that will learn their steps. A life that will hold. One line hums after the words are gone. Build steady, forgive truly, let the light in when it knocks. On a storm-lashed night, James and Diep assemble a bed in their unfinished home while floodwater creeps across the floor. The house is beautiful, but not yet safe, and doubt presses in. A truck arrives with doors and windows, and John, an old friend who once wronged them. He works beside James in the rain, then returns with a wrinkled envelope. Photos he hid to protect Mr. Tuan after an inspection. The quiet reveal is their turning point. They share a humble meal, pray, and speak of change, a small business, steady work, and telling their story truthfully. At dawn, they take the evidence to the inspector without noise, only facts. Forgiveness becomes action. John accepts chickens to restart. James and Diep hang doors, write plans, and let light into the rooms. 2 slippers on the threshold signal a home beginning.